The podcast you're about to hear involves true stories, which may contain graphic content that is not suitable for children. Listener's discretion is advised. This is Esoteric Oddities.
Hi guys! I feel like we need some new material. It's 2019.
So it's also episode 80. What the
wow.
balls?
Guys, we're gonna do something really fun at 100. Just wait. Like, you know how celebrities hit like 1 million on Instagram?
Yeah.
Well, like, we're hitting 100.
So get ready. Also, we're really setting that bar, but we have something in the works.
I am the queen of setting the fucking bar, okay?
And then falling short.
Yes.
Hey guys, this is Esoteric Oddities. I'm Jonathan.
I'm Sarah.
And we are here to make noises with our mouths to entertain you.
Woo!
Even if that means sitting in an hour and 20-minute traffic when the drive should have been 30 minutes.
Ooh. So what happened was there was a little miscommunication, and Jonathan called me at like 12:40, and he's like, "Are you alive?" And I'm literally like cleaning my entire house.
It was 12:07 because I was sitting at the train station. And I was like, "Where are you?"
Oh my
I saw
God.
everybody get off the train. I was like, "Where's Sarah? Her train was supposed to be here at 12:03."
Oh my God, stop. So
And then you didn't answer my text message, so I got worried.
I'm an idiot. And I thought he meant that he was going to come here and do it at my kitchen table, but he meant his. So I'm in my house cleaning.
It's a story because our podcast table is currently being used for a Quattro de Mayo Kentucky Derby snack buffet at someone else's house. So I was like, well, if we're going to record at my house, we'll record at the kitchen table. And then it was just all misconstrued from there. But it's not your fault because it's graduation here and the university is really fucking up the traffic pattern. And holy shite. Everybody was rude. I was trying to parallel park. I had my my blinker on. And this lady's like, yo, butt sticking out. I was like, bitch, I'm not done. If you would have gave me some I popped off because I was not having it. I wasn't. And then I saw some crackheads down your street throwing fists, and that kind of made my day a little bit better.
Yeah, they do that. So I have a funny story about yesterday.
Is it funny?
No.
Is it hilarious? Am I gonna LOL?
So
Okay.
I went to Acme.
That's a grocery store in Pennsylvania.
Someone told me that they had a lot of gluten-free stuff, so I was hyped because I always go to Trader Joe's and I wanted to like try something different because like I get the same thing at Trader Joe's all the time because it doesn't change.
Right. We love a gluten-free princess.
So I go in there and I'm like looking around and there's no gluten-free stuff, and then I wanted to try the Beyond Meat, so that's also why I went there, and they had no Beyond Meat and they had no gluten-free shit, and all of their gluten-free stuff was like frozen and $6. I was like, this is not where I need to be. So I wheeled up my cart and I said, hi, I don't want these, and I walked out and went to Trader Joe's. # Trader Joe's.
Okay, what was in your cart? Like, how much are we talking that you left for these people to put back?
Salmon.
Okay. Was it frozen or fresh?
It was fresh.
Oh, okay.
Sweet potatoes, kale, spinach, blueberries, strawberries, a turkey, like
a whole turkey.
No, like ground turkey.
Oh, okay.
And I think that was it.
Okay, that's not that much. But also, when I worked at a grocery store, you were the type of customer I fucking hated. With a smile on my face, I'd be like, oh my God, no problem. Absolutely no problem at all. I can put them back right away. Don't worry about it. It's no problem.
Well, I didn't give them any time. I just walked out. I was like, hi, I'm not going to get this.
I feel like some grocery stores are inconsistent on like what they have across the board, because I've been to some grocery stores and they have a shitty gluten-free section, and then other ones have a really good gluten-free section. Hi guys, this is the Millennial Podcast where we talk about gluten-free first world issues.
Literally. I really need to go to Wegmans, another grocery store in PA, but like there's none around here. So
I think they're like spreading out worldwide like herpes, baby. I think Wegmans is almost everywhere.
I love that for you.
Love that for all of us. Speaking of grocery store, if you didn't listen to the last episode, I had talked about how robots are taking over the fucking world. Well, let me tell you this. I went to the grocery store 3 different times because I'm trying the Keto Diet. Today is day 6, and I surprisingly feel good. So
millennial problems.
I had to go to the grocery store twice because I didn't really know what I was doing, and I didn't know. No, 3 times.
Oh God.
Yeah, because I was like, oh, let me get this, and then I was like, oh, maybe I'll make cookies. They tasted so fucking. I've never spit anything out faster than that.
Wait.
And I swallow.
Like, what did you make them with? So no
Make
sugar,
what with? Yeah.
flour.
Hold on, wait. Let me talk about the robots that are taking over the world first,
true.
okay?
That's
so
the most
I
important
go into the grocery store, and you say you haven't seen these yet.
No, I live in North Philly.
Yeah, but they have them. They have them around here.
No.
Not like here, but like I've seen them around.
I only go here.
I haven't seen them on the streets yet, but just wait, because if they can find their way around the aisles, they can find their way out the fucking door and down the street to come in your window and take your mans. Okay, so it's these little robot.
Thank God I don't have one.
True. It's these robot little machine things, and they have googly eyes to make them look friendly and approachable. Do not approach. Do not be fooled. Okay, so the guys, they're like wheeling around the aisles with their little scanny things,
like
and it's
that.
like beep 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 beep. I'm pretty sure they're just looking for spills, or at least that's what they're telling us. I think they're looking for Russian spies, or they are Russian spies and they're trying to infiltrate, starting at our produce. Okay, so not only do I see them at the first store I go to, I see them at the second store I go to, and then bitch, the third one I go to, all I needed to get was some almond flour and some unsweetened cacao because I wanted to make those nasty fucking chocolate chip cookies, which were severely disappointing. I'll tell you that. So
Tell me that.
I'm in there, and I see this one from across, and I look at it dead on in the googly eyes. We make eye contact, and I'm like, I know what you're about.
I see you for who you are.
So don't
bitch.
fucking try me. So then guess what it does?
What?
It goes, squeak, 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 starts squeaking on over to me nice and slow. And then it gets to like around my feet. And I was like, okay, fuck this. So I turned down an aisle. Guess what it does?
It follows
It
you?
followed me.
It heard you talking shit.
It followed me. I said it out loud too. I was like, I see you. I fucking know your game. And like everyone around here is looking at it and taking videos. Like 3 people were taking videos of it. I was like,
relax.
Stop it. They are taking over the world. If you're not scared by AI and you think like it's a joke that I'm concerned.
Do you know who you're talking to? I believe in reptilians.
Not
I did
you. I'm talking about them.
Oh, I was going to say.
I know. But AI, like artificial intelligence, they are getting way too smart, way too fast.
There's so many YouTube videos of those robots being like, to take over the world, or like New World Order, like,
and then they're like trying to make jokes, and they're like, "That was a joke." That's what psychopaths do to fit in.
Literally,
that is what psychopaths do to fit in. Also, let's think about the people who programmed. Think about the people who programmed these. Okay, maybe what if a psychopath programmed the robots? You think we're in trouble or nah? Hi, I have something more important than your boobs jiggling, but they did look good. That looks like at the end of Elvira, Mistress of the Dark, where she has the tassels and she's like,
I love that for us.
Oh, God.
But yes, artificial intelligence is scary.
Scary, but let's talk about me, the
Always.
keto diet. But no, I really don't want to talk about it because I woke up one morning and I was like, I just want to try it. And I'd never been inspired to do it before. So I just went out. I bought the shit that I needed. It's basically high fat, low carb. Some dude online explained it really well. He had like 2 containers, and one had like a yellow liquid in it and one had a clear liquid in it with like sand at the bottom. And the clear liquid he started pouring out, and he's like, this is your body how it normally functions using energy from carbohydrates. And then he got to the bottom of it where the sludge is, and it started pouring out. And he's like, this is your body when you get keto flu, which I didn't know was a thing. Yikes. I felt like shit. I became an insomniac. I couldn't sleep. And I was like, this diet's supposed to make me feel better. It was, I'm going to be honest, very rough for the first 3.5 days, almost 4 days. Yeah, I was not sleeping. I was waking up in the morning, and it was so hard to get out of bed because I had like zero energy. But basically, I guess, also, I don't know if this is right or not. This is just information I was collecting.
This is terrifying.
Your body kind of runs solely on those carbohydrates until it's completely used up, and then it switches to the fats, which was in the other container he was using to like demonstrate for it to make sense. So when he's pouring out the sludge, he's like, this is why you feel like shit, but once it's done, then you start and then he poured out the other one. He's like, this shit is like jet fuel and you'll feel great. And I mean,
do you feel great?
I don't feel great. I feel good.
Right.
I don't feel like, woo, yippee, like I changed my life. But something weird that's happened is that honestly, I've done like fad diets before. We tried one when we started the podcast. Remember the Whole 20?
Yeah.
I texted
Whole 30.
Whole 30.
Oh my God,
Sorry,
yes. That was so funny.
And I texted Sarah because I cheated and I didn't we were trying to do it together, and I fell off the wagon real early because
it was a Snapchat chat, and he was like
an M&M in the trail mix. Do you remember we would like pick the peanuts out because we couldn't?
Yes, because we couldn't have them wait. That was so funny. I lasted like 2 days.
Oh God. Well, okay. So
it's too many restrictions.
I get it. And with that, it was like I fell off the bandwagon quick. With this, I told myself it's going to be short term. I also have to prep because I'm going out of the country and I'm going to be doing like cave diving and a lot of hiking.
Tell them where you're going.
No. So I just like while I'm prepping for this, I was like, let me make some other changes.
Is this yours?
Is that a beard hair? Why would my beard hair be over there? Was it on the mic? It's red. It looks like mine.
It looks like your pubes. Did you rub your balls all over my mic?
My pubes aren't red.
Oh, I thought the curtain matched the drapes.
Carpet. Curtain matched the drapes. Bitch, that's the same thing.
Yeah, but carpets. You sound like a nerd.
No, but carpet, it's because curtain is like up here, right? So it's like what's up here, like your hair, matches what's down there.
Oh, and like the drapes are like up there with the...
Well, I think the drapes are like part of the curtains, right? We definitely had this discussion on this very podcast.
No way.
And we'll get it straight one day.
Okay. Well, moving on.
Not today, though, baby.
We don't have time.
So basically, I'm on the keto diet. Yes, I did lose weight. I'm kind of like flatlining now, but that's kind of what happens. And I didn't do it to like lose weight. It would be great. I just kind of want to see what would happen if I...
Yeah.
I feel like it's like I need, the Nintendo 64. It's like it has a little reset button. I just need that. Reset. Yeah. And I haven't drank in a long time, but
I'm happy for you.
Probably after this podcast.
Yeah.
Only because I'm going to a housewarming party. But I think I'm going to like the alcohol that I can have. It's going to be probably like
You can have some alcohol?
I can't have any beer. I can have pretty much vodka or tequila or like gin, but I don't, you know how I feel about gin.
Yeah. What about whiskey?
I don't know. I'll have to check. I think I might be able to. Basically, well, I don't know because there's a lot of like corn based stuff, which is confusing because I'm pretty sure vodka is corn based. Yeah.
It's so weird that we can take corn and make it a drink.
You know what else is weird? That
what? You
can cremate a body and pay for it, but when you try to do it in your own house, people get mad at you.
That's very true. Also, we go to jail for like burning people alive.
Okay, there's a reason for that. Okay, subscribe, you guys. Give us 5.
Say that?
No.
You said you were going to burn someone in your house.
Who?
You just said that.
No, I said you can cremate somebody, but I'm talking about like a dead body. Like if I had a dead body, or like for instance, like a cat. Okay, also just going to let you guys know off the jump, don't do it because it doesn't cremate. It just burns and your whole house smells and like the neighbors complain. So, and the cops come and then it's a whole thing. So don't do it. My friend did it. So not me. That wasn't from my own experience.
Asking for a friend.
I suppose we should jump into today's topic. I think I go first.
Yeah.
So today's topic is robberies / heists. Right? That's what you did?
Yeah.
Okay, you were giving me a look like, oh, fuck, I did underwater marine life.
I do stuff like that, so.
Okay, so my story is about the Great Coral Reef. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. All right, so this is one of the best stories I've ever read in my life.
I love that.
This is the Great Maple Syrup Heist. Have you heard?
No, I did that one.
No, you didn't.
I know.
Because I told you to text and I was going to snap on you.
I know, listen.
All right.
Good girl.
Okay. So, in July of 2012, a worker named Michael Gavreau arrived at his place of employment at the Federation of Quebec Maple Syrup Producers warehouse. The building was one of many rented warehouses located in Saint-Louis-de-Blancfeld, which was almost 100 miles northeast of Montreal, Canada. So the exterior is guarded by gates and locks, which accounted for the security of the 3.4 million liters of bulk maple syrup that was stored in barrels inside. So once a year, the Federation of Quebec Maple Syrup Producers takes an inventory of the barrels. On this day, it was Michael's job to start the daunting task. So as he began his precautious climb up the barrels, they would literally like in this warehouse, I think they stack them up 6 high.
I'm staring at this Whoopi picture and I'm asking myself why the fuck I have that on my refrigerator.
You've had that on your refrigerator. That's like traveled to multiple homes.
It really has, but it's like, why do I have it up there?
It's true. I never really questioned it. It's just kind of there for those who can't see this, which is everybody. It's a picture
We'll take a picture of it.
It's a picture of Whoopi Goldberg as the cat from the movie Alice in Wonderland. I think it was just called Alice.
Yeah.
And the girl, did you ever see that movie? The girl who played Alice is the girl from Napoleon Dynamite.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that, but I'm staring at it like, why the fuck do I have that up there?
Tina, you fat lord, eat your food. I want to rewatch that classic piece of American cinema.
That'd be so cool.
That'd be so rad. Maybe I'll Netflix and chill. Napoleon Dynamite. Can you imagine if like Netflix and chill and he turned on Napoleon Dynamite? I would be like panties drop. Boom.
I feel like
panties drop and pussy pop.
My heart was crushed when he kicked his fucking pocket where the tater tots was.
Oh, that was so mean.
I was like, wow, you're mean. And like those tater tots.
They probably had lint on them.
Right. That's so fucked up.
Also, why was everybody at that high school like 28 years old?
A problem.
Anyway, Let's get back to the great maple syrup heist. So Michael is climbing these barrels. They had about 6 barrels stacked, and it was like along the perimeter of the warehouse. It was fucking huge. So when he was near the top of the stack, when he gripped the barrel to pull himself up, it teetered and began to give way. So the small-statured man, now on a tower of syrup barrels, suddenly realized that there was nothing beneath his feet and he was seconds away from falling to his death. He struggled, but he gripped another barrel. And normally the weight of the barrels is more than 600 pounds. So if he's using the edge of a barrel, like the top of a barrel, to like grip and pull himself up, that 600 pounds is going to hold him, because he was one of the smaller statured men, because they would have him go and do this shit. But when he went to pull it, it like fell, which means
splat.
It might not have anything in it. So clearly something was off. So when Michael knocked on the barrel, it echoed like a gong, which was fucking unusual. So he unscrewed the cap that was on the top, and Michael discovered that it was empty. So at first he thought it was a mistake, but soon more barrels were found empty, and then more, and then more, and even more barrels that had been emptied with syrup and filled with water. So the police were phoned, and the mystery unraveled the unexpected twists and turns as they investigated the $18.7 million worth of barrels.
Literally
stolen.
Snatched.
Making this the largest heist Canada has ever seen. So let's get some background story here.
I hope they're sorry.
Oh, that's cute. So the Federation of Quebec Maple Syrup Producers was formed in 1966. Hello?
Hi,
so from
we're here.
Here on out, I'm going to refer to them as the Federation. So just know when I'm saying the Federation, I'm talking about the syrup people.
The Federation.
The Federation is syrup people. Same thing. I just don't feel like saying Quebec Maple Syrup Producers.
Oh, God.
The Federation of. I'm sorry. Okay, so they were formed, like I said, in 1966. The Federation, yes, was tasked with turning all of Canada's production of quality maple syrup through the seasons and pricing it at a respectable trade. Now, this might just sound like useless information, but this is very important to why things end up the way they do. So basically, they abided by the basic parameter, if they control the supply, they control the price. Mm-hmm. So in turn, if they limit the supply, they raise the price. And because Quebec makes over 72% of the world's maple syrup, the Federation has also been able to set the standard price. And since they set the standard price, they're not quite monopolizing would be the incorrect term, obviously, but they're still doing something. They're in full control pretty much of the market. So as of December 2016, pure maple syrup is valued at over $1,300 a barrel, making it 13 times more expensive than crude oil.
Oh, shit. That's
so
crazy.
You can easily go to the store and find the shelf with the small artisanal jugs, the ones I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And the ones that are genuine, pure Canadian maple syrup, and it's like $15. I found some online. 15. I found some online, a 32 ounce that was $23 plus tax.
Oh, God.
32 ounces. This shit, it's sticky gold, my dude. Sticky gold.
It's cocaine.
Okay, so here's a quick lesson on maple syrup because I know they come from trees. You know they come from trees.
Teach me, Daddy.
So in cold climates, I hate you. In cold climates, maple trees store starch in their trunks and roots before the winter, and then the starch is then converted into sugar that rises in the sap in the late winter and early spring as the climate gets warmer. And the process of farming, I don't know if you would call it farming. I don't know what they would call it. Cultivating.
Like, I don't think it's that.
But I'm going to call it farming. Today, I am a maple syrup connoisseur.
I love that for you.
Connoisseur. Bitch.
Kind of syrup.
Connoisseur. I'm putting that on my IMDb. Not my IMDb. What's that other thing? LinkedIn. Find me on my LinkedIn. High as
I
hell.
don't think that's how it goes.
Okay. So anyway, basically the process of farming syrup is tedious, but fairly simple. There's a network of tubes that suck the sap from the trees, and the tubes then carry the sap to a tank where the excess water is drained away. And basically what's left is sent to a stainless steel machine that cooks the maple water down to 66% sugar, and then you get the end product of sweet, thick, rich, pure. I'm talking about myself.
I love that for you.
Because those are all synonyms that could be. No, they're not synonyms. Those are adjectives.
Oh, look at you.
Describing verbs. Verbs?
Place or thing?
Did you ever do Schoolhouse Rock?
Yes.
I remember they had songs to teach you how to remember things, and to this day, that fucking verb song is stuck in my head. The person, place, or thing song. Verb. It's a person, place, or thing, like bread or chicken wing.
I love that for you.
No, it's a noun. I'm a fucking idiot.
Are we good?
John?
Please edit
Yeah,
that
because
out.
no, I understand what I was trying to say. You didn't get what I was trying to say, but I was right because I didn't. I said
was
verb.
right and you were wrong. That's
verb,
all I'm hearing.
Verb. It's what you do. Learn that from Disney Channel. Noun is a person, place, or thing, or sometimes an idea if it's copyrighted or trademarked or registered. Let's get back to the syrup. So it may sound all sweet, but the business itself has some darker undertones. Yeah, I fucking wrote that with confidence.
Wow.
So think of it this way. Oil can be found almost anywhere on this planet. So you sink a drill and you'll hit it eventually. But maple syrup only comes from the red and sugar maple forests found in the upper corner of the North America. Fuck me in the ass. You get what I'm trying to say. You can only find it in a specific place, and that's why the federation is necessary. So if one country stops producing oil, then the slack can be picked up by others who can produce oil. But if Canada has a bad season, basically the world is going to have a year without maple syrup.
Oh,
and
no.
That's why the reserve.
Aunt Jemima.
No, not Aunt Jemima. That's the fake shit.
Oh, right. This is the Canadian $15 24 13
well,
32 ounce.
You know that's not real, right? The Aunt Jemima is not maple syrup.
Oh.
Did you not know that? It's like flavored. It's like high fructose corn syrup that's colored and flavored to be like. Yeah, no. That doesn't come from a tree.
So it's trash.
Well, I'm not coming for Aunt Jemima or Miss Buttersworth. But yes. Also, fun fact, Miss Buttersworth, I used to pretend was a... Should I not get into this? I used to pretend it was my award, and I would stand at the pantry and like thank my dog. I'd like to thank the Academy. I am going to have to edit that out. Hopefully I can remember that. I'm also probably going to be editing this episode in a car. So future John, if you're listening to this, hold on for one more day.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ almighty. Where am I? Okay. Yeah. So like I was saying, if one country stops producing oil, someone else can pick it up. But if Canada has a bad season, we're fucked. So the reserve itself is very important. And with that being said, the Federation made laws which state that all wholesale of maple syrup must be done through them. So all wholesale of maple syrup at any part of Canada needs to go through them. So they end up getting profits, right? So in the eyes of many Canadians, through loopholes and positions of power, the Federation has become sort of like a legal cartel. Not illegal. A legalized cartel. So some individuals have farmed their own maple syrup and sold it. Even if you're just selling it to family and friends, technically that's illegal. So the Federation hired undercover agents to buy from independent maple syrup buyers who are just like little homely people who are like, oh, I have a horse and a maple syrup. Would you like? They sell it in little jars with a little pattern on the top. You know, the little old lady probably ties like a little ribbon around the lid. Like, have you ever had? I know. Like, have you ever had marmalade? Marmalade?
Oh, yes. Marmalade.
Well, you simpletons call it marmalade.
Marmalade.
Yeah, it's marmalade. Apricot.
I don't call it marmalade.
Apricot marmalade.
I have marmalade in my refrigerator.
I'm checking right now, and if you're lying, I'm going to shank you.
Check.
I meant to say give you a wedgie, but wow, I took it right.
Oh my God, you remember wedgies?
Do I remember wedgies? Okay. I've tasted my underwear. That's really weird. I meant to say, you know what? I didn't taste my underwear, but like, you know how people are like, I'm going to give you wedgies so hard you're going to taste it?
Yeah.
But I said I tasted my underwear. So this is a weird. Should we end this?
I think so. Bye, guys.
Where is it?
It's that bottom where the almond milk is.
So the bitch got marmalade. You think you hot shit. Stop it. Knock it off. We're talking about a very serious topic here. Okay, so one man who was selling like out of his house, he was selling like little old jars. He wasn't like sketchy about it, but he was selling to friends and neighbors. And one guy was
he wasn't sketchy.
Oh, I heard you have the sweetest syrup in all the land. And he's like, here you go. That'll be $12. Then the other guy is just like, well, this is in my imagination is what's going on. And then the other guy's probably like, oh, that's a lot cheaper than if I bought it through the Federation. And the guy's like, yeah. And then the other guy's like, gotcha. And then he slaps the handcuffs on him. Regardless, that man who was selling independently was charged with, are you sitting down?
Oh, God.
$650,000.
What the fuck?
650.
Let that man be great.
650,000 dollars.
That's fucking crazy.
Bruh. So you can see how this became problematic and how not a lot of people, you know, we as stupid little simpleton Americans as we are, well, I'm talking for myself and Sarah at least. We, you know, Canada, they're sweet people. They make syrup. That's like what they're about is like syrup. And it's like, oh, come lick our trees. It's like candy, right? It ain't like that. It is very much business oriented. It is very like Big Brother. It is very scary. This man got slapped with that big of a fine because they were making an example out of him to say, you sell your shit without going through us and we don't get a cut of it. This is what's going to happen. So it's kind of like, it reminds me of the Boston Tea Party, except literally nothing like the Boston Tea Party because the Boston Tea Party was about tax. I think so. I haven't cracked open a history book and about, hello, are you fucking kidding? That is so unprofessional. Oh my God. Hey guys, I'm putting in,
Hi,
and
baby.
you answered it. You answered.
I'm recording.
Hi.
I love you. You're so hot. Bye.
I love you. Thanks for telling me I look skinnier.
Bye, baby.
Hi guys, I'm looking for a new podcast co-host. Please email at odditiespodcast@gmail.com.
No one can replace me.
You must not know about me.
Okay.
Okay, so like I was saying, can you imagine if it was like the Boston Tea Party?
No.
Except they just threw all the syrup into a pool instead of a river. Oh my God, then we all swam in it. And then dipped our waffles in it. No. French toast sticks.
I love French toast.
Do you remember?
I'm not allowed to have them.
Why not?
They're
my
not
mom.
gluten-free.
Oh, I thought you were going to be like, my mom doesn't let me.
My mom doesn't let me.
I haven't had French toast. I can't have them either. I haven't had carbs in so fucking long. I haven't craved anything though. But all this
You're
talk
lucky.
about syrup.
Right. Oh, God.
Because I can't have sugar either. Where was I? French toast sticks. What were we talking about even? Okay, so these laws that were put into place by the Federation seem to lead to the unintended consequence of the obvious maple syrup on the black market. So in 2012, when Michael, whatever I said his last name was, had climbed the barrels, nearly falling to his death, and he discovered that empty barrel. So when that happened, the investigation didn't start immediately after that because of how many. So in that warehouse, I think they had about a quarter or maybe a little bit less than a quarter of their inventory for that season. So it's a shit ton of barrels. So they thought it might have been a mistake, that there was a barrel that was emptied and then it was on the floor, and one of the guys, possibly a newer guy, took it and put it back up on the shelf.
I see.
So they didn't really think much of it, because when he found that empty barrel, they didn't really find too many others. But a couple days later, they found like another empty barrel and then another empty barrel. And it wasn't until August of 2012 when a few staff members noticed that something wasn't right. So at this
2012?
2012. This was a month. Actually, I think this was about 2 weeks after Michael had fallen from that empty barrel. So they noticed something that was off. And all they had found so far was a handful of empty barrels. So some barrels were dirty, even though the warehouse had a clean cement floor. And there were signs of rust on them, which didn't make sense because maple syrup does not oxidize, which would cause rust.
Right.
So then the containers, when the containers, some of them were tapped, they sounded a little bit emptier than others. So they were like, hey, we are pretty consistent with our pouring here. We measure everything and this shouldn't be a thing. So when they cracked them open, they learned that the maple syrup had been replaced by fucking water. So this is when they found that some of them had been replaced.
Ooh.
And then they were just like, hey, remember when Michael, our buddy Michael, unpronounceable last name, was climbing those barrels and he fucking fell? They were just like, I think something's wrong here. Because finding an empty barrel is like, this could be a mistake. Finding a barrel filled with water is like,
someone did
this would never happen in this factory. Something the fuck is wrong. So the investigation was headed by the Sûreté du Québec police, which we don't really have anything equal to it, but it's like a highly rated police. They're highly rated. You should see their rating on Reddit. What am I trying to say?
They have on Rotten Tomatoes.
89%.
I love that.
They're like up there on the totem pole. Sorry, I fell asleep right there. I didn't have my crack for breakfast this morning. That's what the issue is. Which soon was joined by the Royal Mounties and U.S. Customs. So this was kind of a big deal. So the first thing investigators noticed was the security at this location.
It's always the security.
So the only security, like I said at the tip of the penis of this podcast, was a fence and a chain link lock system. There were no cameras. And this was because the syrup was being held at a rented, in all caps, warehouse temporarily while the finishing touches were being put on a new storage facility in nearby unpronounceableville, Quebec. So it was supposed to be transferred from that, like all the syrup was supposed to go from that rented location to another one in the coming weeks. But this rented location had, I said a quarter. It's actually more than 1/10. So it was less than I said. 1/10 of Quebec's entire 2012 harvest, and more than that's where I got the quarter from. So more than 1/10 of Quebec's entire 2012 harvest, and more than a quarter of the Federation's inventory. So nearly 540,000 gallons. 29,700 gallons of syrup had been stolen, which is 12.5% of the reserve, which is the Federation, what they had in their reserve, which was the warehouse, with a street value of 18.7 million motherfucking dollars. Okay. And it became known as the Great Maple Syrup Heist and was said to be among the most fantastic agricultural crimes ever committed. Until I sneaked into the corn factories. Gonna steal your corn niblets. Can you imagine? That'd be so embarrassing. I can't even have corn.
Because your retainer?
Did you ever? Because my retainer. Well, yes, but also because of keto, you can't have corn. I can't have carrots either. Some people say you can, but I
carrots
would suggest you look at the macros on those babies, but that's not what we're talking about. So imagine how hard it would be to recover syrup that's been stolen, because like oil, syrup is a fungible commodity. Hot commodity. Woo. So if you take it and you put it in a container, in a different container, and you put it on the market, you can't tell if that's stolen syrup or not, so it's basically untraceable. Really hard to find once it's out of those barrels. So about 300 fucking people are questioned, and 40 search warrants were executed. Do you hear that? The police.
I love that.
If you guys hear that, they're looking for the syrup. Don't look in my purse. So through their investigation, police got a hold of a couple text messages between a few different phone numbers, and they went a little something like this. On July 20th, 2012, at 9:07 p.m., one outgoing text message said, "Come back, please. We have a problem. It's urgent. Are you there?" And then another text message was that same night at 9:20 reading, "We have a big problem. A guy from the Federation saw the truck," end quote. And then 2 days later, on July 22nd, 2012, at 10:03 a.m., another text message said, "The middle row, we weren't able to put them back exactly in the right place." Another text message, we have to make the rust circles disappear." And then on July 26th at 7:08 p.m., "The Fed is going to come and do its annual inventory. We don't know yet if they're going to climb up to count or simply look to see if everything is in place." And then a reply to that text message was, "For sure, and we will have to play with the lights so they are low." The phones were investigated and the numbers were registered under names of Star Wars characters. Fake names. And the address registered for one of the numbers was 234 Dark Side.
Well, may the 4th be with you.
Oh shit, it is May 4th. Look at you, you little, what do they call the fans? You little Starby.
I love that.
Starby Barbie.
See you, Starby. I see you work at Arby's.
Number 2, super sass.
Hurry up, I'm starving.
One of my cousins, who may or may not listen to this, had an ex-girlfriend who was a dumb bitch and a capital CUNT.
We love that.
All of those letters were capitalized, but she confidently called Starbucks Starbies.
Ew.
And we started calling it Starbies, like, to make fun of her. And now Shane Dawson calls it Starbies. And I would like to file a lawsuit and a complaint. I don't know to who, but to one of you.
Wow.
So anyway, investigators believed that this was potentially an inside job. Someone who had keys, someone who had an ID card. And, the reasons were there because the Federation supplied the motive. The value of the commodity being syrup and the tight control of supply. We had a high five on that. I don't even know how that started.
I don't know either.
But it's a thing. And, that resulted in a black market, which to me makes perfect sense. So through their questioning, investigators met a worker named Pascal Patry. So Pascal was rolling the metal barrels into to store in the warehouses when he noticed water around the outside of the barrel, and he alerted his manager. So he went up to his manager. He's just like, "Hey, this shouldn't have condensation, so it might be water leaking." And he himself in his position was not allowed to open the container. He just had his place where he needed to do things, but he alerted a manager, and the manager was just like, "Hey, it's really weird. I found $1,000 and I'll give it to you if you keep your mouth shut." Ooh. So he was like,
it was an inside job.
"What's going on here?" And then the manager basically offered him the opportunity to get in on the heist. So this dude, Pascal, who stepped forward to the police, he was like, "By day, I worked for the Federation, and by night, I worked for the criminal organization." So
why would he tell them?
There was a man, because it sounds like just a heist, but it gets fucking crazy. So a man who lived close to the warehouse also noticed that massive 18-wheelers. Is it 18-wheelers or 16-wheelers? 16-wheelers?
It all depends how many wheels it has.
Oh, I guess you're right.
Who's doing now?
Basically big Mack trucks, but that's not Mack trucks in Canada. I don't know what they have over there, but just picture a big Mack truck. And the neighbor contacted police, and he was just like, "Hey, they're coming at weird hours of the night, at weird hours of the morning, and they usually don't do that, and it's kind of happened a little bit out of nowhere." So the investigator spoke with one of these trucks. Are you done? Oh my God. The worst thing happened last night. I was at my aunt's viewing, and of course, while the guy's saying the prayer, what I didn't want to happen happened, and I started having a coughing attack. Yeah. I had to go outside, and I was trying, when you try to hold him in, you start to tear up. And I was sitting in the front, so I was literally holding back tears. I mean, obviously it was a sad situation, but it looked like I was having a breakdown. And the lady...
That's not funny, but...
No, I know. It's just situational.
Yeah.
And the whole time I had a tickle in my throat the whole week. I had a little frog in my throat.
I feel that. A ribbit.
Kermit slept over. Just a frog in my throat. What was I saying? Oh, yes. My aunt's viewing. Totally inappropriate. I went outside and the funeral director came out and was just like, "Are you okay? Can I get you anything?" And I was like, "No, I'm okay. I really appreciate it."
Sick.
They were so nice. Viewings are so sad. Okay. May she rest in peace.
True.
So, okay, the investigators spoke with a truck driver named Sebastian Jutras, and they were fairly certain that he was one of the truck drivers that held the contraband, bringing it from point A to point B. So Sebastian told police that if the barrels were stolen, he had no clue. He was like, I'm just a truck driver. I don't even load it up. I sit here with my big gulp and my hoagie.
And I don't do nothing.
And they load it up and I drive it where they tell me to drive it. And when investigators asked him who he was working for, he said that it was a man at the warehouse who offered him a lump sum of money and free parking spot on the land, which was a big deal because I guess if you're an independent truck driver in Canada, you have to pay a lot of money for a rented parking spot.
That's fucked up.
Yeah, but I mean...
Right.
You have to rent a physical space if you're going to keep your truck somewhere. You can't keep it at your fucking residential house.
Right. That's true.
So the man who he was talking about, that he was who gave him this lump sum of money and a parking spot, that man was married to the woman who owned the warehouse that was being rented to the Federation.
Yes.
And that man's name was Avik Karan. So are you playing footsie with me? Inappropriate. We're technically working right now. This is a work setting.
Yeah, you're saying that to me, but it's Saturday and I don't work on Saturdays, so that's weird.
It's really weird because I'm gonna have to contact HR and see what he has to say about it.
Okay.
What if
Tell HR to suck my dick.
I just contact HR Puffin stuff. Do you know who he is? No. Oh my God. Do it right now. Google HR Puffin stuff. What if he was our HR committee? Y'all, if you don't know what I'm talking about, please look up HR Puffin. And I'm just like, I'm going to contact HR.
Stop.
And he's the one you just told to suck your dick? Are you kidding me? How would he
suck my
get...
dick.
It would probably fit in that big old mouth. Anyway.
I don't smell too great.
I don't smell too great. A quote by Kara Kyman, 2019. Love that for everybody involved. So when the... Okay, so this is important. Pay attention.
Okay.
When the Federation signed the contract to rent this warehouse, Avik, who was the husband of the woman who owned it, he was actually being sued for running a scheme for pretending he was multiple insurance agencies. And just 3 months prior, Avik had been charged with fraud and pled guilty, but the court system was lenient on him and he was never sent to prison. Fair chance if he went to prison, possibly some of this wouldn't have been set in motion. So Avik hired Sebastian, the truck driver. Once the syrup was out of the warehouse, the barrels were sent to a number of transfer points, including a warehouse in St. Nicholas, not to be confused with St. Nicholas. So one man named Martin Prolu, I'm sorry, these are very French names, and as French as I kiss, it doesn't...
I love that for you.
I don't speak it as well. Okay, so this dude Martin, he was hired to work at the St. Nicholas warehouse, and when he was there, he said there was so much maple syrup being delivered to the warehouse in such a short period of time that he found it suspicious. He was like, we're busy, but it's usually like, oh, here comes a barrel. 2 hours later, like, oh, maybe here comes another barrel.
Like barrel. And he's
just like, yeah. So he found it suspicious. In July 2012, he approached his boss. Ironically, this was around the same time when the whole empty barrel thing happened and homeboy almost fell to his death. So he approached his boss, who was 38-year-old Richard Valliere, who told Martin, yeah, the syrup's stolen from the Federation Reserve, and you're going to keep your mouth shut or else.
How confident?
Martin told police that he said this, but he later retracted his statement. I have to throw that fact in there because obviously you guys know we are a very factual, by the book, black and white, very honest podcast. True. But I'm going to have to say that's probably what really fucking happened. So Richard Valliere was a known barrel roller, which is a term that's used for people who brokers deal with on the black market in defiance of the Federation's laws. So he hated the regulation for the syrup, as many people did. He was a middleman in the industry. He had networks of producers within the Federation who would sell it to him. And then he had networks of buyers who would purchase from him on the black market. So he was a perfect middleman. He knew how to work the system and he fucking hated the Federation. Fuck the feds. Am I right?
You're right.
But we're talking about the syrup people.
Right.
I might have to take that back or I might be in a sticky situation.
Oh,
did you
so
like
good.
that?
Look at all these puns.
I love it. for myself. So an unknown police officer. Oh, I'm sorry. Unknown to the police, the heist had actually been going on for over a year.
Wow.
Before anybody noticed anything. So according to prosecutors, the thieves had been trucking barrels out to a sugar shack owned by Richard's father named Raymond. Sugar shack sounds so cute, doesn't it?
Sugar shack.
It sounds like a little old place where
we can get together.
See a faded sign at the side of the road that says 15 miles to the sugar shack. I love that. Let's do that. I don't know what that meant, but like, let's do it.
Okay, sugar shack. Got it.
So once in the sugar shack, they would siphon the syrup in the way that you would siphon gasoline from a semi. As if someone's supposed to fucking understand it. Listen. Oh, wait, I think I know what that means. And I think I know it. Listen, because I had to
By golly, I got it.
I had to siphon a fish tank. I think it's you make like a vacuum and you kind of jerk it off a little bit and then it goes and it sucks up out of a hose so you can transfer, because you can't dump it. You have to like siphon it out. Oh, you guys, I'm a genius. If you want me to siphon anything for you, let me know. That's SIPHON. I don't know why I just spelled that.
That's SIPHON. Siphon.
What am I saying? Okay, so they would feed it one cask at a time into their own ramshackle barrels, and then they would refill the originals with water from a nearby creek, and then it was returned to the Federation's rented warehouse. Sebastian would drive it back. But when the creek froze over in 2011, the syrup transfer operation moved to a warehouse in Montreal. So investigators retraced the footsteps of the criminals following their trail through the black market. Some of it was in New Brunswick, and some of it crossed the border into the United States of America to a little old state you might know called Vermont.
Oh, wow.
A state of which Richard Valliere had a bank account that had seen a flow of cash in and out of over $6 million that year. So as the operation grew, the masterminds allegedly brought on other accomplices who began siphoning the syrup directly from the barrels inside the Federation's reserve. Now, this is kind of, in my humble onion, where they fucked up, was when that creek froze over, they started bringing in people inside the Federation to siphon into other barrels, probably overnight, but what they weren't doing was filling it back up with water. So
why would they stop doing that?
I don't know, because I think they brought on some people and communication may not have been. I feel like that's something you should probably really communicate. Be like, if you're going to empty them, don't put them back empty. Like, remember, fill them with water.
Like, this is the fucking process that we've been doing the entire time.
No, but these are new. These are new people who are inside the Federation who are doing this. It wasn't the same people who were going to the sugar shack and doing it there out of the creek, because the creek is frozen over. Okay, we all on the same page here? Perfect.
Yep, we are.
So in that, we're gonna jump back to that St. Nicholas warehouse. Police found a shoe print. Which, to be honest, if I found a shoe print, I'd be like, it's a fucking factory. It's a warehouse. What the fuck? But
the shoe print is how Santa found, I think her name is Alex, in The Ultimate Christmas Present. He knew what size she was. He knew that he got her those shoes for Christmas one year. He knew.
Okay. So... Are you saying because it's St. Nicholas warehouse?
Yes.
You tied that together perfectly like a Christmas present, bitch.
Oh.
I love you.
I love you.
So the police found other shoe prints. They found pumps and barrels. Okay, this is when they were getting sloppy. Y'all fucked it up. Not that I'm encouraging them to do it, but if you're going to do this, $18.7 million you're going to snatch in syrup. Yeah, you're fucking up, because they found at this other place at St. Nicholas, they found barrels with Federation labels still on them. Federation barrels should never have been in this other St. Nicholas warehouse. Ever. Yes. And some barrels, are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
With the same label, like some of them that had that label that said the Federation, had another label that had handwriting on it that read R. Valliere. For Richard Valliere.
What? Like, come on, sir. You're literally at the crime scene.
He's like, that's not me. That's not my name.
That's not me.
That's not my name. The ting tings. Is that what they were? The ting tongs.
The ting ting.
Anyway, When this was discovered, some of the Heist insiders were fucking nervous. And they were like, fuck, we're going to get caught. What do we do? I went out. But it became kind of like, oh, I'm getting a little ahead of myself. One person spoke out asking for protection from the police. He's just like, hey, I have some information for you, but if I give it to you, you need to fucking give me protection because
this shit is roll.
Avic told him that if he ever spoke to police, he would be fucking murdered, point blank. So soon, threats came to more insiders from people who had mafia connections. Yikes. So this isn't just a cute little, ooh, the great sugar maple heist of 2012. No,
this is like someone's gonna die.
Bitch, if you talk, if I see you in the street, bitch, your ass is done.
Okay.
I don't need your opinion.
Oh.
Do what I fucking want. Her new album's out. You guys should go to check it out.
Who is it? Are you gonna tell them?
Oh, Rico Nasty.
Oh, yes.
Her new album just dropped. Go get it. Go cop one. Not sponsored, but if you want to reach out, that is odditiespodcast@gmail.com. So again, other people were nervous because mafia connections, people were like, yo, I got a hitman he might pop a Glock in your mouth and make a brain slush. You know what I mean? So Global News journalist, her name is Carolyn Jarvis. She did a big, well, not a big, but it was like a short documentary kind of. I guess it's kind of her job. She's a journalist. So she wanted to speak to Avic. So as the cameras rolled, he was getting out of his truck or he was putting something in the backseat of his truck and she approached. He gripped her shoulder and he literally shoved her out of the way before getting in his truck and driving away.
Sir, why are you so...
And she acted like nothing happened. She's a tough bitch. I like her unless I don't know much about her, but if she's racist or an awful person, then I don't like her. But like, you know, she didn't give a fuck. And that guy should clearly get a firm spanking. Right. So the resulting investigation by Quebec police led to the arrest of Avic Caron and Richard Valliere, who were the two alleged ringleaders, and get this, 26 additional suspects.
Yikes.
As investigators looked further into this, some thought that this heist may have been plotted by the Federation themselves. Because if over $13 million of barrels, like $13 million worth of syrup, was stolen from the property, then they had a healthy insurance payout that was nearly triple that amount. So if they got 1/10 of their supply stolen, then they would get a shit ton more money.
Like
and
insurance.
Then yes, like insurance fraud. And the Federation denies us. They're like, no, we didn't have anything to do with
that
it.
Wasn't
but
me.
They did have some insiders working on this with the gut. And okay, all right. So if you're gonna have okay, again, I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm sorry. Just keep that in the back of your asshole. That's what some people were thinking. And this wasn't the first time the Federation had an issue like this. In 2011, which would have been just a year before this, and it's not clear whether this was before the heist had begun. I think it was before the heist had actually begun.
Right.
A truck, one of their trucks with over $100,000 worth of syrup in it was stolen and never found. And then earlier than that, in 2006, the same maple syrup supply, that same location, because they have different locations, was robbed of $1.3 million worth of syrup. And again, both cases have never been solved.
So do you think that's still a part of the insurance? Because that seems like
I don't know, but whether or not it wasn't, you would think, whether or not it was an insurance fraud thing and it was the Federation choosing to do it, you would think that if they had 1/4 of their inventory and 1/10 of the inventory of the syrup for like pretty much the world,
right? If
they had that in a one singular rented warehouse, you think that they would investigate, the warehouse owners and that owner's husband, who it's so easy to just look that shit up and be like, oh shit, he was charged and then charged again for schemes and fraud. And
so he must be
pled guilty
too.
Right? And he has access to this warehouse. You would think that. Or two, they would install cameras or increase security, have somebody fucking there, have a little chihuahua barking. I don't give a fuck. They didn't have anything. They had a chain link fence that you could literally, those big cloppers, the scissor things? You could just go up there and like chop them off and go fucking play in the syrup. They had like no cameras. Zilch.
Okay, so
1/4 of their like supply. So that's why people after the fact, they were like, oh shit, that sucks. How could this happen? They were like, wait, so you've been robbed before, but
no cameras ever.
And you could have rented any other warehouse, but this was the warehouse you rented temporarily, and that was their thing. They were just like, oh, it was just temporary. And to me, it's kind of like, oh, that's interesting. But I don't know if the Federation, the head of the Federation, was just a fucking idiot,
right?
Or if he was kind of smart and said, okay, we have this small window of a couple months when we're going to have this rented warehouse, or maybe a year or two. Well, I guess it was over since before 2011. So if he had like 2 years to be in there, and he's like, okay, well, we're transferring 2 weeks from now. What if we found out that a heist had been going on this whole time, and we get our insurance out from this rented location, then they could pay off the warehouse.
But that still doesn't explain the trucks of money that were lost.
The trucks what? Oh, years before?
Yeah. Or maybe that had nothing to do with this.
It's like they clearly have a security issue. Either way, they should have cracked down. But he could have been like, okay, well, this is how it's going to go, and I'm going to pay out these people or pay out these people, and then in the end turn his back on him. So like Avik and the other dude go to jail, and he just claims the money himself. Fraud. So I'm talking about the head of the Federation. Could have possibly been doing this. I don't know though. So the Great Maple Syrup Heist of 2012 was the largest theft investigation of the Canadian Police Department's history. The Federation only recovered 15% of the stolen syrup. They now moved to a new warehouse, which is under the same security as a bank. So there's cameras at every angle that cover pretty much every single fucking inch of this place. So,
finally,
let's talk about what happened in the end. Avik Caron, who was the insider whose spouse owned the Federation's rented warehouse, was sentenced to 5 years in prison plus a $1.2 million fine. Richard Valliere, he was the accused ringleader, was sentenced in April 2017 to 8 years in prison plus a $9.4 million fine, which he has an extension of 14 years in prison if that fine is not paid by the time he gets out in 8 years, which
TikTok.
How are you supposed to do that?
Right.
I'm sure he'll find a fucking way. Raymond Vallières, which is Richard's father, was convicted of possession of stolen goods with the intention to traffic because he had the Sugar Shack. A guy I didn't talk about, his name is Etienne St. Pierre. He is a New Brunswick-based syrup reseller. He was charged with possession and the resale of stolen goods because he had knowledge that it was stolen. He was an insider. Sebastian Jutras, who was the trucker who said he had no idea it was stolen, turns out he knew the whole fucking time.
You knew the whole time.
And he was involved with the transport of stolen syrup, and he was sentenced to 8 months in prison. That was back in 2013, so he's out now, probably enjoying his pancakes like the rest wish they could. So my thing is, if the empty barrels had been filled back with water and put back, this heist could have gone on for so much fucking longer. Think about how, like, they didn't notice for a whole year when the water was being replaced.
I'm confusion.
What?
So it was the federal people the whole time.
No, we don't know.
Oh.
I'm just saying people suspected that.
Oh, okay.
People suspected that. They deny it right now.
Like they wouldn't put water in the barrels.
Yeah, I can see that argument because I don't think, to be honest, I don't think it was the Federation, but I can see how people would think that it was.
Like they get huge insurance money.
Yes, and it's like the dude was a fucking idiot. Like, are you kidding me? You're going to put it 1/4 of your goddamn, like 1/10 of the world's supply is in this warehouse that with anybody can walk into.
Love
and
that.
You've been robbed before. The year before, 2011, which would have been the year they signed the contract for this. Oh, Jesus Christ.
People are dumb.
So the story of this heist allegedly is currently being developed as a movie starring Jason Segel.
Oh shit.
Right?
That's cool.
I know, I love that. So some sources seriously fucking exploited this shit. I was jumping around from sources to sources. Now, it's kind of hard to tell if people are getting the amount wrong, if they're talking about Canadian dollars or US dollars, but some people said that it was 30 million US dollars worth of syrup that was stolen, but it wasn't. When in reality, it was 30,000 US dollars worth of syrup in the warehouse. That's how much that warehouse had. And they stole 18.7 million Other places say that it's 13 million Canadian dollars. Other places say it's 13 million US dollars, making it $18.7 million dollars. Multi-million dollars were fucking stolen.
It was the independent people, because I feel like they were pissed that guy was slapped with that huge ass lawsuit.
It wasn't. They figured out who it was. Oh. It's not a mystery. It was Avik.
Oh, right.
It was Avik and Richard Valliere.
Yeah.
But yeah,
that guy that pleaded guilty for everything.
Yeah, I brought that was Avik.
Oh, okay.
Who was the husband of the woman who owned the place. I have a problem with
listening.
That's okay. I know I'm like name dropping. It gets confusing if you're not visually reading it.
Yeah, that's like
I'm a visual. Me too. Oh, I love that.
You use your fucking eyes. That's so cool.
You said, wait, hold on. That was really ironic. I said I'm visual, and I closed my eyes and I opened my eyes and you were waiting with a high five. So I visually didn't see you. We're so silly. We should have our own podcast. But that is the great Canadian maple syrup heist of 2012.
Wow.
I kind of want syrup now.
I think that too. I was thinking that I want to make French toast.
Don't do it. You're going to fall off the wagon.
Oh, no. I have gluten-free bread.
Oh, I love that.
I was going to make it like with the gluten-free bread.
Cute. You need to get like the real Canadian maple syrup.
I know. And I was like, do I want to like get that fake shit? No,
I want the real stolen shit.
Thanks ever so much for your help. Have a very nice Christmas.
Thank you. Why'd you say that?
You'll see.
Oh, is that in your story?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were... Okay, sorry.
It may seem like a strange thing for an armed thief to say to a group of bound security guards, but the Brinks-Mat robbery was no ordinary heist. Have you ever heard of this?
No.
Ooh.
Okay, wait. Hold on. Before we do this, yeah. I wanted to talk about this story before, but I totally forgot. I was assistant directing a film that was filmed in Philly a couple years ago, and there was a jewelry store heist.
Oh god.
And there were two different heist scenes. There was a jewelry store heist, and then there was a basement heist. And the basement heist was a fucking blast, but I was in charge of operating a hazer, which is like a massive fog machine. Right. And it was the fog machine from hell because it wouldn't stop pumping out fog. And they were like, cut the fog. I was like, I did.
I can't.
I unplugged it and it still kept going. And when I say a hazer is not a fog machine, it is for concerts. And we were in like a small basement set.
Why would they do that?
I think they were just kind of figuring it out. Also, I had to learn how to fucking do it because it doesn't operate normally. But anyway, it was the weirdest, craziest experience because we were in a real jewelry store. So they had like real security there, but they had to literally like people were like punching people and we had guns everywhere and like people outside who were crowding around were like freaking out.
Oh
we were
my
like,
god, no. It's a film.
For a short, I think I'll have to show you. Did you ever watch that film?
Yes.
Did you watch it?
Uh-huh.
I think the heist scene, at least in the jewelry store, is maybe
a minute
intense. And 30 seconds, maybe 2 minutes. It is intense. It turned out really good. And the one actor, a very attractive person.
We love that.
And he was so kind.
Oh, we love nice.
And he knew how to help the girl who got hit with the car door.
Oh.
Okay. So
keep that
on to your story. But heist, jewelry heist.
Yes.
Bank robbery. Love it. Let's go.
It changed the lives for better or worse of the robbers. It led to a trial of bloodshed and it altered Britain's criminal landscape. And it took less than 2 hours.
The heist took less than 2 hours?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not sure why this man says have a Merry Christmas because this is in November.
Well, could have been the end of November. He's like, if I don't see you by Christmas, I hope you have a good one.
It was, but like, that's like a long time.
November, December. I mean.
Anyway.
He also, honestly, he should have been considerate. Said maybe Kwanzaa, Hanukkah. Let's think of everybody. Happy holidays.
Okay, we love that one.
Keep Christ out of Christmas.
Shortly after 6:40 a.m. on November 26, 1983, 6 armed men in balaclavas, they're the ones with the mask with the cutout eyes and cutout mouth.
A ski mask, if you will.
So one in a yellow ski mask, and he topped it with a Tilby hat, which is like one of those top hats, you know?
Is it just like a normal magician top hat?
It looks like this.
Okay.
So he looked fucking stupid.
Of course. Those hats are like cool though. That's like a Bonnie and Clyde hat.
Yeah, but like you have this fucking ski mask on, and it's yellow. But anyway.
Yeah, why would you put a hat on over that?
I'm saying. So they entered a warehouse at the Heathrow Airport. The property belonged to security, What? No. The property belonged to a security company called Brinks-Mat, and allegedly there was $3 million in cash in the vault and almost $26 million US worth
of money.
Yeah.
Question: Did you say a year? I'm sorry.
Yes, 1983.
Oh, 1983.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Wow.
They knew this because there was a man inside, a security guard named Anthony Black, and he told them about the money in the vault.
Why would he do that?
You'll see.
Oh.
He even opened the door of the warehouse to let them in, but not until after he arrived 10 minutes late for work that day because he slept in.
I've been there. Actually, I haven't. I haven't been late to work because of sleeping in ever.
Really?
Never.
It wouldn't be sleeping in, your alarm just wouldn't go off.
Yeah, I set 4 million alarms.
Oh, I only set one and then I'm up. I know how you are.
Nope. I have one every 3 minutes.
Yikes. Led by Black's brother-in-law, Brian Robinson, and Mickey McAvoy, the gang rounded up the guards, tied them up, and poured petrol all over them.
Petrol?
Petrol.
It's like what they call gas.
Yeah. Threatening to light them with a match if they didn't comply.
Ugh. How many guards are there? I think you said at the beginning, 7?
No, 6 men
6
robbed.
men.
It doesn't say how many
6 men.
guards.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they were probably overnumbered.
Right. Which is not
outnumbered.
Thanks to Black, they were able to identify the most senior guards who between them held the keys and combination numbers to the vault where 3 safes were located. When the robbers gained access, they were greeted with a slightly unusual reserve for a heist.
Uh-oh.
The cash was no longer the focus of their operation. The warehouse was storing more than 3 tons of gold.
Gold is worth nothing.
Packed into more than 70 cardboard boxes were almost 7,000 gold bars. Someone had to get a van, and of course, the van was stolen. So Robinson, McAvoy, and Brian Perry and 3 other men managed to disable the security alarm and enter the warehouse thanks to Black, who let them in because he's a dumbass.
So he wasn't he wasn't in on this?
Black?
Yeah.
He was.
Oh.
So it took 2 hours to load the 70 boxes of gold into this van.
70 boxes?
Yes.
Wow. That shit's heavy.
Yeah. Funny that you say that.
Is it funny? Is it hilarious?
The stolen van creaked under weight. By the time the alarm was raised, the robbers were gone and the loot had vanished. Like, it was literally like teetering. Literally.
Oh, that van was like,
too heavy.
Please let me die. I picture the mystery machine.
Right?
Love it.
Well, 70 boxes wouldn't fit in there, but that's okay. So the heist turned them into some of Britain's richest men and filled pockets of countless other crooks as the gold was melted down and money was laundered to fund shady activities such as drug smuggling. So this is where, like, shit gets weird because there were so many people who had their shit dipped in this fucking robbery and shit gets bad. So more than 20 people connected to the heist are dead.
What? Why?
I'll get there.
Oh, you can't just throw that at me and say, just wait. Well, I guess you can.
That includes an ex-policeman who ended up with an axe in his head.
Oh, bitch.
Yeah.
And thank you guys so much for listening. That's it.
That's it. A senior detective who worked on the investigation said he was never surprised by the brutal murders.
What?
He said these villains are out of control. Many of them are off their heads on drugs bought with their newfound riches.
Oh, probably. That's true. If you have so much money, you don't know what to do with it. Here's an idea. You can become a Patreon. Patreon.com/
Good segue.
Esoteric Oddities.
Yeah.
You can become a patron. Thank you.
Please. The trouble was that when the money either ran out or in the case of some, they never materialized, there was only one way to respond: to kill people, to show others that even 25 years after the robbery, if they dared to cross the gang, they would still pay with their life.
25. So 25 years after 1987 or 83.
83.
So that's like.
And there's still like shit happening with this money.
That's like 2000s.
They like flipped this shit.
That's so hard to trace though, especially if they're melting it down. But I guess paper trails.
It happens because they have to go to someone to melt it down. I'll get there.
Oh my God.
So there's a book called The Curse of Brinksmat by Wensley Clarkson. He traces the fate of the men whose lives become intertwined with the case, and this is where I got my information.
I'm writing that down.
I love that for you.
Wait, what is it called again?
The Curse of Brinksmat.
The Curse of Brinksmat. Got it. Okay.
Clarkson says it still fascinates us because of the circumstances behind the robbery and the vast amount that they stumbled upon in the process of carrying out the robbery.
So, do you really think they didn't know the gold was in there, that they were just going in for the money?
I don't think so, because I think that Black, it was like a grapevine type thing. Like, he just heard that there was a lot of money in the vault.
Oh, so he had never seen it.
No, because
okay.
he wasn't like a senior security guard.
Right. Oh, shit. Oh, that's gotta be so thrilling.
Okay, so he says, from the moment they found the gold, put it in the van, which had literally was scraping the ground on its way out of Brinksmat warehouse, their problems literally began.
Did you see the bling ring?
Yes.
I want to rob. Emma Watson is everything. After I saw that movie in theaters, I wanted to break into somebody's house.
Right? They make it so intriguing.
Yeah. I was with Gabby and she was like concerned. I was like, let's fucking do it. Your neighbors, I know they leave their doors unlocked. Let's fucking do it.
I cannot deal. You would.
She was like, you saw how that movie ended, right? I was like, yeah, they're going to make a fucking movie out of us, bitch.
So it seemed like the perfect crime, but none of the gang had experience in gold. So they had to recruit other underworld figures who had. So much was melted down.
Underworld.
Yeah, that's what they call them.
It just makes me like, it sounds like it's like Hades from
Underworld.
Hercules.
So much was melted down that it is thought that the most people with gold jewelry made in the UK after 1993 was wearing Brinksmat.
Wow. That's so crazy to think about.
Right?
Wow.
So soon millions of pounds of gold was floating literally around all these like drug dealers and unleashing a tide of gangland violence and murders from London's East End to Costa del Sol.
All for gold. Well, I guess it's because they stole it, but like, wow, we put a lot of value in gold.
Well, the effect was not just felt by the criminals, but the double-strength ecstasy that killed Leah Betts, who was 18 in 1995, was almost certainly imported using money from the robbery.
Whoa.
So she got this bad batch of ecstasy from the money that they laundered from melting the gold for this robbery.
Was that a mistake? Was the that she overdosed that bad batch, was that a mistake, or was that due to the robbery? Do you get what I'm saying?
I think it was just like really, really, really good shit because they had the money.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Stealing the gold was relatively easy. The bigger challenge was selling it. The gold had to be melted down.
Whoa. Oh, I guess because you had to melt it down. But
right.
That sentence alone, I was like, bitch, what the frick?
Yeah, stealing it was easy.
Piece of cake.
I mean, it was easy for them.
It's true. It's true.
They were out in 2 hours and they got 70 cardboard boxes of gold.
That's true.
The gold had to be melted down to get rid of their traceable serial numbers, but selling pure gold was not an option, so it was mixed with copper and other metals to disguise it. The robbers turned to crime boss Kenneth Noe, who, along with another criminal, Brian Reeder, handled the gold. It was regularly taken to a melting company near Bristol, where it was mixed with copper and brass to look like scrap gold. About 13 million worth of gold was disposed in this way.
May I ask why that was out of the question to sell pure gold?
Because
was that uncommon?
You could trace it back with the serial number, and then they would know.
Even if it was melted down?
No, if they were just to sell the gold,
right,
like
bars of gold,
it would be traced back to Brinksmat, and then they would know.
But what if they? Okay, so I guess they were being smart, because if you just melt pure gold, and it's like, why do you have all this pure gold? Okay, I get. Okay.
So they were trying to the movement of cash through a local bank.
And then I guess they could really stretch their money too, because you're just using like a little bit of gold here, a little bit of gold there,
right.
not a whole
gold.
Bunch. Okay, right.
But it raised suspicion to the Bank of England.
They're like, something's off here.
And a tragic.
Wait, hold on. Can you tell when is? I don't know if you have the timeline, but because we're jumping like 25 years. Okay, so it raised suspicion to them around the time after they already found out the heist happened. I'm assuming, right?
Yes.
Okay. So then they're finding...
So 1985, 1995 was when Leah Betts was murdered for the ecstasy, so...
She was murdered or she overdosed?
I mean, she overdosed.
Does she have anything to do with it, or that's just like...
No, that's just like a part of the...
Okay.
It's like a domino effect of...
Of how long it takes. So, okay. What's raising alert for the bank to be like, something's off here? Is that they're selling a bunch of jewelry?
Well, they were moving the cash through this bank, and the bank was like, "Why do you have so much fucking money?"
Got it. Okay, who did they steal the money and the gold from? I thought they were stealing it from the bank.
No, they stole it from a warehouse called Brinksmat.
Whose was that?
It belonged to a security company.
Okay. Wow, they really picked a fucking place to rob. They're like, what should we rob? A security company.
Right? Like, what the fuck? You're stupid.
But I guess not, because they fucking, like, it worked.
True that. In a tragic twist, Detective John Fordham was stabbed to death by No when he was discovered during a surveillance operation in the garden of his house. At a trial in December 1985, No was cleared of murder after pleading self-defense.
How? I'm sorry, that was an undercover police officer who was trying to... Okay.
No, he's a detective.
Detective, right.
No stabbed DC Fordham 11 times. However, he was in the back in court a few months after. Police found 11 gold bars worth $100,000 in his house.
He was probably just saying, this man was on my property and I thought he was going to break in. It's self-defense. Can you do that, though? Well, I guess... No, yeah, if somebody's on your property... Because
I mean, yeah. I mean, you could say it was self-defense, but like...
Recently, there was a thief. This guy kind of lucked out, but this is kind of... And I know this isn't the U.S. This is England, right? Mm-hmm. So this happened, I want to say last winter here, I think in New Jersey, where somebody went in and robbed some guy's house. The guy happened to be coming home when the dude was robbing. The robber slipped on a patch of ice and fell down the stairs on his deck.
Oh, shit.
And smacked his head and died. And he was afraid that the family was going to sue him because the dude who was robbing died on his property because of his stairs. But
I was gonna say,
by the grace of God, it was fine. But that could have turned ugly because I think
that's crazy.
Legally through loopholes, if you have a good enough lawyer and you're that dude's family, even though he robbed, like in the eyes of the law, that person was but then again, he was on the property illegally. But yeah, I'm just going to stop pretending like I know the law.
So No was found guilty of handling the Brinksmat gold and was sentenced to 14 years in prison. He served 7 years before he was released in 1994. 2 years later, No murdered motorcyclist Stephen Cameron. He was 21 after a road rage incident.
Just randomly?
Yeah, because he was mad that this kid was in his way. Then he fled to Spain and is currently serving a life sentence in prison.
Yikes.
So that's one person that was literally got fucked by this heist.
Right. Yeah, but he was in on it, no? No?
He was because he helped them melt.
Right,
because he had gold in his house.
He had done that shit before. Right.
It didn't take police long to connect Black to the heist. The last guard to arrive on the morning of the raid. If he wasn't late, it might have been different. He confessed that he provided information and a duplicate key and named 3 of the robbers, which was McAvoy and his brother-in-law Robinson and a man called Tony White. Robinson and McAvoy had spent 6 months planning the crime.
I don't think I could do a heist.
I can't.
It wouldn't go well.
I have bad luck. I would get caught.
Have you seen Mall Cop?
Yeah, I love that movie.
I love that movie too. It's
Popular.
like so fucking stupid, but at the same time, like that Hello Kitty Band-Aid part, I still crack up like a little kid watching Alvin and the Chipmunks.
That's so
like
funny.
It's so funny to me.
So he basically ratted on Robinson and McAvoy.
Saying that they were perpetrators.
Yeah, and McAvoy punched Black in the face when they went to go identify him in the lineup. So like he really gave it away.
I'm sure he didn't even. He was like, "We're done at this point. This is my one chance to fucking sock him in the face because we're done."
Right. But they didn't exactly lay low, which is Robinson and McAvoy, because after the robbery, they were spending money on properties in Kent, which is like kind of like
bougie.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was rumored that McAvoy had bought 2 Rottweilers to protect his new home and named them Brinks and Matt. Like, what the fuck? Are you okay?
Wait, it took me a second, but holy shit. Your cat is so mad that I just laughed. Look at him. He's like, fuck you. I was napping.
Wait,
that is
because
so
it's better than
funny.
him fucking up the whatever thing that he does over there.
That's true. But wow, that's so funny.
The
He was so relentless.
Brinks and Matt.
Was he hot? Can I see a picture of him?
Yeah, hold on.
Okay.
So the
Wait,
pair.
just tell me his name and I'm going to look it up.
It's
McAvoy?
Yeah.
No, Black. Or McAvoy.
No, it's McAvoy.
James McAvoy?
Nope. It's
My
Mickey.
My last search is Sriracha keto?
I love that. It's Mickey McAvoy. He probably wasn't cute.
Oh, he's not cute.
The pair were later sentenced to 25 years in prison. Another criminal, Tony White, was found not guilty. So he's the one that helped, but he was found not guilty. He was later jailed for his part in a drug smuggling ring. Black was sentenced to 6 years. Only 2 of the gang robbers that entered the warehouse were ever convicted for the crime, but there were greater repercussions outside the prison walls. It is estimated that more than 20 people with some kind of connection to the robbery have been killed, as Britain's criminal underworld turned on itself. So basically, like, all the fucking drug dealers and shit, they all just went crazy over this fucking money.
Oh shit, I'm looking at one of the Brinks vans. They're the real deal. It's like a fucking RV.
What? Right.
It is not the Scooby-Doo Mystery Machine I thought it
stole
was.
That shit.
Wow. Okay, yeah, I can see how they could fit. That has a whole fucking door on it.
Right.
You could fit a living room back there.
I love that. So Solly Nahom, a jeweler in London's Hatton Garden, who had helped dispose of some of the gold, was murdered in 1998 outside his home in Finchley, North London.
These are like older men. This is not what I was expecting.
Yeah.
They're like pretty like middle-aged, probably 60s. Not that there's anything wrong if you're listening to this in your 60s, but like please don't rob a bank.
But this also stretched abroad, and someone connected to an even more infamous heist when the great train robber Charlie Wilson was shot dead along with his dog on his doorstep in Marbella, Spain.
Doorstep.
Love that.
Doorstep.
I meant to say doorstep. By a young British hood who left the scene on the yellow bicycle. Wilson had been tasked to launder some of the Brinks Mat proceeds.
Oh boy. Wow, this is a huge network.
Literally. So this is a quote by that Clarkson guy who wrote the book.
Okay, right.
People did not make a lot of money out of that robbery, but the problems and death and destruction which have come since are probably not worth it. The tentacles of that crime are enormous. They spread across many depths and many continents, and there are still, he said, they're still happening. The early intake of ecstasy in Britain came directly through Brinks Mat money that was made from the job and then put back into ecstasy, which was a brand new drug, and it marked a crossover from robbery to drugs.
Okay.
There is still at least 10 million worth of gold out there somewhere buried in farmyards or scrap metal yards with so many deaths already connected to it. It's probably not worth finding.
Ooh, scary.
He says it's something you'll probably never see again unless you listen to those who say that anyone who purchased UK-made gold jewelry after 1983 is wearing the laundered proceeds of Brinks Mat.
He's saying that you're never going to what? You're never going to see that stuff again?
Yeah. He's saying, like, you'll probably never see, like...
Gold. Is he saying you'll never see gold that was stolen, or you'll never see a heist like that again?
Yeah, that's what he's saying.
Okay.
So, these are the people that are mentioned that had a hand in the gold and money that was laundered from Brinks Mat. Keith Hadley, he was a money launderer, and he was shot dead by 3 men on his yacht in 1996. Charlie Wilson, he was the great train robber.
Hold on, who was shot dead?
His name was Keith Headley.
Okay, and he was shot on his yacht.
Yeah, because he was a money launderer. 3 men.
He was shot all 3. Wow, that's a yacht.
So Charlie Wilson, he was the great train robber. He was shot at home in Spain in 1990 along with his dog, and he was laundering money also.
The dog wasn't laundering shit.
Right? Gilbert Winter, he was an enforcer who disappeared in 1998 and is believed to be in foundations of the O2 Arena in southeast London.
I don't know what that is, but I'm going to nod and pretend I do. Takes me back to like middle school and the math teachers. Like, does this make sense to everyone? And
this
everyone's
is
like,
where
yeah.
the O2 Arena in London was where the ex-policeman was found with an axe in his head.
When are you going to get to that? I want that.
And that's all they say about it.
Bitch, I need more details. Who, how, when?
It wasn't a part of this. I don't know.
Yes, it was. You can't just say, well, someone was found with that. I need details.
I don't have them. Nick Whitting, he was suspected of selling weed. He was stabbed 9 times and then shot twice with a 9mm pistol in 1990.
For what?
Because I don't know why he was shot, but he used the money that he laundered from Brinksmat to buy this marijuana.
Damn, they're tracking everybody down.
Pat Tate, he was an associate of No, was shot dead with 2 other men in Rittendon, Essex in 1995. Stephen Cameron, he was stabbed to death by Kenneth No in 1996. It was the road rage accident.
Yeah. That wasn't an accident. He was
pissed.
raging and fucking...
And then there was Leah Betts, who died because of the ecstasy overdose. Dan Morgan, he was an ex-cop found dead in South London in 1987. And then there was Donald Uhart. He was a money launderer who was shot by a hitman in West London in 1995. George Francis, he was a publican who held gold. He was shot in 2003. John Marshall, he was another associate of No, was shot in Snydeham, South London.
Okay, do we know who's shooting all these people?
In 1996? No.
So they're insiders like mafia.
Well, yeah, but these are just like people that were involved in this fucking money laundering that caught up to them. Sidney Wink, he was a gun dealer believed to have supplied the guns for the Brinksmat raid. He committed suicide by shooting himself in 1994. Alan
Iverson.
Cabril,
Oh.
he was a witness due to give evidence against No, ended up literally shot with millions of bullets in a car.
I don't think that's
Ashford
what that means.
In 2000.
You can't say literally. He was shot with literally millions of bullets. I don't think that's what that means.
Should I say it again?
No.
It was a lot.
Okay. It was literally a lot. It wasn't literally millions.
Joey Wilkins, he was Vice King, who apparently tattled on No. He died mysteriously in 2007 after an apparent robbery.
Oh, God. Dude, karma's got its way.
Alan Holmes was Brinksmat detective. He shot himself in 1987.
Oh, shit.
And then there was Michael Olympus. He was a drug dealer, and he ended up dead in 1995. And that is the story of Brinksmat.
That's crazy. So I wonder, those people who were shooting them, I'm still a little confused. Do you think it was like a mafia thing?
I think it was a chain reaction of all these people never dealing drugs, now having a lot of fucking money, and then getting involved in
with sketchy shit?
Yeah.
So you don't think all those people who were shooting all those other people knew that they were somewhere along the line connected to this?
I think some people that mentioned like it was a money launderer, I think those people knew that they had a part in Brinksmat, but I don't think it was I don't think it was police. I think it was literally like criminals against criminals.
Yeah. And then when you throw in a whole bunch of money, and especially if you're inexperienced and you don't know what you're getting into.
Right, and people get greedy.
Wow. Do you have a fun fact?
Ooh.
Okay, I'll tell my fun fact. My fun fact is that a maple tree takes about 40 years before it's big enough for a tap for syrup.
Wow, look at that. It just ties right into your story.
You're looking one up because you didn't fucking get one, did you? You fucking scrambled egg.
I am a scrambled egg. I get the story and then I'm like, yeah, I'm done.
All right, should I share my tweet of the week too?
Yeah, do
okay,
it.
so my tweet of the week came to me this morning actually, and it's from at KMOV, which I guess is a news station, and it says it's an article linked, and it says cocaine found in shrimp. New study reveals.
Oh my god, I saw that.
So if I eat shrimp, am I gonna get and fried as
Am I gonna
hell?
get skinny?
Please. Maybe that's everybody start eating shrimp. I love shrimps. They're nasty though. They're little bottom feeders. They got their little legs crawling along the ocean's floor.
This was funny. This is from Kendra Alley. She said, I started coughing while getting my eyelashes done and apologized for allergies. And the lady said, allergies? And then physically inserted 2 cough drops into my mouth and said, shh, this is the most tender moment I've shared with someone all year.
What? Okay.
Isn't that weird?
I'm getting the stink eye from your cat.
You're
It's when I make a loud noise.
He's sleeping.
He can go fuck himself.
Ooh. He just wants to have fun.
No, he doesn't. He wants to be a little piece of shit, make noise, fuck up the blinds that I put up.
Literally, though.
Oh, God. Remember when I put those blinds up?
Yeah, you're a genius.
How they are still standing is beyond me.
It's because you're smarticle particle.
Thank you. Do you have a fun fact?
No.
Okay. Well, that's where
Do you want me to find one?
No, I don't have fucking time for that shit. Are you
Oh.
kidding me? Well, thank you guys so much.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening. If you have not yet, tell an ugly friend to listen to this podcast. Also, follow us on social media. If you also have not yet, give us a 5-star rating, please, and a review. It helps us out sorry
it
freaking
helps
much.
me.
And Patreon, our Patreon supporters, our patrons, if you will, you have a new bonus episode that is out at the same time as this episode.
Woo!
If you guys want bonus episodes, it's not only like the bonus episode that's coming out when this comes out, you get a backlog of all of our previous bonus episodes. So if you are not sick of hearing our mouths make noises talking about bullshit, shooting the shit, and talking about creepy weird shit and fun shit, go ahead and head on over. And for just $5, you'll get bonus episodes every single month. It's every other week, so you get 2 bonus episodes every month, and you get a backlog to everything. And we really appreciate the help. And with that being said,
We love you guys.
we love you. Drink some water today.
Yeah, literally. Though.
And maybe eat some pancakes for dinner if this made you hungry. And maybe that syrup you're eating and that gold you're wearing is
It's
stolen.
UK. Yeah, from Brinksmat.
Yeah, or Canada.
True. Bye.
Bye.